Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Stewart. I'm a GP supervisor, medical education consultant, and I'm really excited to finally introduce to you the general practice study system. So why did I embark on developing this system in the first place? So I've worked for a long time with doctors who are trying to attain their GP fellowship or are having difficulty progressing through training, and I wanted to develop a tool to help them explore the curriculum further and just build on the different concepts that we encounter in general practice. So good GPs, they don't just know stuff, they actually know how to do stuff, they can show how to do stuff, and they can actually do it. And to be able to do this, it requires a really thorough knowledge of the domains of general practice and a curriculum-based approach. And many of the doctors that I work with have rarely ever looked at the curriculum or don't have a good understanding of the general practice curriculum. So who can use this system? So medical students who are doing a general practice term, or pre-vocational doctors who are doing some rotations in general practice, doctors who are of course studying for the RACGP fellowship exams, GP supervisors and GP mentors in working with their learners and also in their own professional development, and GPs undertaking their plan, QI and CPD requirements. So what is the general practice study system? So what I've done is I've looked at the 2011-2016 curriculum and picked the 30 important topics that cross those both curricula. And I've developed these topics with focus areas. So this is where areas, sort of subtopics where you focus your learning. For each topic, there are education cards, and each education card has 5 domain-based activities which you should do to address that curriculum area. With those, there are also learning tools, which are particular educational activities that will help you address that domain of general practice. So with the learning tools, not everybody is familiar with all the different ways in which we can approach learning. So I've developed 20 cards which have particular learning approaches. And these are explained in quite a stepwise fashion, very simplistically put, 5 steps on how to complete that learning tool. So there's a hard copy version of the cards, and there is also a web-based version. This is an example of just the introductory card and the topic card, which lists the 30 topics that are covered. And this next card is the card for custodial health. So custodial health is a curriculum contextual area which is often poorly addressed. And you can see there's the topic card, there's a focus areas, there are some suggested activities for exploring that contextual unit, and then there's some learning tools that complement that. This is an example of a learning tool card. So there's an overall card there listing all the different learning tools that we explore, and an example of the teaching a skill card. So teaching a skill broken down into 5 simple steps that you can explore individually or you can teach someone else. This is an example of the custodial health card as a electronic version. So the electronic versions of the cards have direct links to the curriculum, and they also have a resource section with key resources hyperlinked as well. And these are continually curated and updated to make sure that they are relevant. This is an example of a teaching the skill card. So again, 5 key steps referenced to and hyperlinked to key articles. So when would you use the GP study system? So you can use it as an adjunct to a plan that you already have for your individual study. You can use it as a prompt for small group learning in the practice, such as a PDSA cycle. You can use it as a scaffold for protected teaching time if you're a GP registrar with your supervisor. You can use it as a way of informing different approaches to your plan activities if you've already fellowed and you need to complete that requirement. You can also use it as a way of calibrating and evidencing your learning. So much of what we do in learning, read this, there's no evidence that we've actually learnt it. So by combining that with a learning tool, you can actually feel that you've got a measure of your completion of that competency. And finally, it's a really good way of exploring the diversity of educational techniques that we can use to approach study, which makes study much more interesting and encourages deeper learning. So how is it presented? As I mentioned before, it's as a box set, which is ideal for tea room teaching. You can pop the box on your staff room table and take a card out, challenge each other, use it for in-practice teaching. Registrars can use it as flashcards for individual or small group learning. It's also available as a web-based resource. So as I mentioned, with hyperlinked curriculum links and lots of resources. So I'd really encourage you to get on board with the GPS system. I think it will really enrich your general practice and particularly make you think about the ways that you approach the different facets of learning general practice, especially outside the applied knowledge domain. And it will possibly allow you to explore some different ways of approaching learning and teaching.